Welcome back to our course on kicking fear to the curb in the new year. This is based upon my new book, Free Fall, God's Path to Courage and Boldness. And if you don't have that yet, please contact your local bookstore. You can get them at the usual sources online as well. This time I want to talk about rejecting growth at the speed of life as a way to defeat fear. One of the problems that we have, one of the reasons why we fear so much is because we understand so little. We need more knowledge, we need more understanding. I can usually tell if someone reads a lot by their vocabulary. Their vocabulary of a person who reads extensively tends to be much more advanced and they are much more eloquent in their speech. But I do ask people, do you like to read? And if you say, oh, I'm just not a reader, please don't accept that. I mean, unless you are physically unable to read, if you are legally blind, perhaps. But I have one new friend who is legally blind, but he can see somewhat out of one eye. He lost another eye to cancer. He reads extensively. So don't give yourself an excuse. I mean, maybe just, there's a way you can learn how to read. We'll talk about that. Here's a quote this time from, not from the Bible, but from Socrates. He says, employ your time in improving yourself by reading other men's writings so that you shall come easily by what others have labored hard for. That's a very wise quote. One of the things that I tell people is that if you do not read, you are restricted to growing at the speed of life. In other words, you're only going to learn what you learn as you make mistakes, and that's not much. You really need to know more than that. The beauty of reading and reading deeply is this. And I used this example several years ago. I got a book that's called The Hacking of the American Mind by Dr. Robert Lustig. Interesting in watching some of his videos online and listening to him there, I think that he and I would be unlikely to be close friends. We are politically very different, but I love what he has to say about how our minds are being hacked. He's a pediatric endocrinologist, and he shares so much about what he's learned in the process of taking care of young children as they walk through life and all the problems they face because of all the bad food and electronic devices and other factors in their life. I don't have the time in my life to go to school to become a pediatric endocrinologist. Too late in life for that, but I can sit down with his book and I can get the wisdom that he has accumulated through, I think, 30 or 40 years of practice just by reading that book. I'm sitting, it's like a conversation. I'm sitting with him, listening to him tell me some of the most important things that he has learned in caring for children and their health. Wow, I can grow in my knowledge and my wisdom in an area that I don't have time to even start in. Reject growth at the speed of life. You don't have to experience everything to understand it. You don't have to go through everyone's life process to benefit from what they benefited from. This reading and deep reading is a way to grow exponentially in your faith and in your knowledge and in your savvy of how to do life. How do you deep read? And let's just start from, let's say that you have trouble reading. Let's say you open up a book and you have trouble paying attention. You have trouble getting anything out of it. Probably one of the reasons why is because your attention span is too short. It's very common today with all our electronic devices, with streaming media on television, with the way things are presented on television are very just short burst, very emotion driven. So let me just give you the quick down and dirty on how to become a deep reader. First of all, choose a good book. The Bible's great, the best book ever. But choose something you're interested in. If you like fiction, one of the best works, and it's a spiritual work, it's called Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Very readable. It's a big book, but man, I tell you what, here's what you do. Pick whatever book you want to read, and then get a clock of some sort and silence your devices and put them where you can't even see them or hear them. Don't even have where you can hear them buzz. That's a distraction. Get comfortable, get yourself something to drink, and then have the clock visible where you can read for 20 minutes uninterrupted. You may not get much out of it to start with, but just read for 20 minutes. Try that for a week. 20 minutes a day for 1 week. And then go to 2 20-minute sessions a day. What you will find is that you will expand your attention span by doing this. When you remove distractions and you focus on reading, you will start to get into it. And your goal, and this is really cool, sometimes I'll ask someone who does read. I asked a young man recently, I said, so when you're reading these books, what happens in your head? And he's like, oh man, it just explodes with pictures. And I mean, the book comes to life in my head. That's deep reading. So here's the thing. You need to read. I mean, unless there's just some absolute physical limitation where you cannot do it, but otherwise you need to struggle to get this into you, because there is no better way to grow well beyond the wisdom of your years than by sitting down with other people who have taken the time to write a book. You can benefit from their years walking with God, struggling through life, going to combat, whatever it is that they've dealt with, just by sitting down, 20, 30 minutes a night, or maybe more, and learning from them. Having a greater knowledge of the challenges of life, how other people have handled them, is a way to defeat fear, because it reduces the unknown. You also see, especially if you like to read history, how some people have overcome enormous adversity that will make your adversity not seem as bad, or at least you'll know that other people have stuck it out, and that's what you need to do too. Anyway, that's the lesson for today, and next lesson is going to be kind of the graduation lesson. I have a couple more lessons here, but next time it's going to talk about the whole premise of free fall. So tune in for lesson number 10. Let's do this.